What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. I am very excited for this interview. I've had lawyers on before, I've had experts from trials on before, but I have never had a juror on. So I'm super excited to get the behind the scenes kind of regarding this. One quick second here. And before I forget, one thing I want to say is at 9 p.m. Eastern, uh, Shannon, my wife, her channel, she's premiering a video on Harvey Adelson. So subscribe to Mindful Crime Couture at 9 p.m. Eastern. She is premiering a video about Harv. So you definitely want to check that out. So thank you all for being here. I also am excited because regarding this case, you may know I'm a little biased after watching all the trials and getting all the informations. So I'm excited to get the perspective of someone who didn't have the information and was actually a juror on the trial. Now, she has asked to remain anonymous. So, much like Stranger Things and 11, she was, if my research is correct, she was juror number 13. So, I'm going to refer to her as 13. So, because she wants to be anonymous and I respect that. So, without further ado, let me bring on. Hey, 13, how are you?
Hello, hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks so much for being here. I kind of want to start with I teased this live by you had sent me a message, and you were talking about like what an intense experience it was because you were a freshman in college, right? And so how old were you when you get selected to be on this jury?
Right, so yeah, it was in October of 2019, so I was 18 because I have a December birthday, and so yeah, it was my freshman year at community college, or first semester, and I just started a new job, working as a hostess, and it was a lot to
So
start out
you're
with. Yeah.
eight. So take me through it. You're 18 years old. You get the juror notice. Are you like I'm gonna get out of this? Like, what are your thoughts when you get that note in the mail?
Yeah, it's funny because I had no reference for I hadn't heard about this case at all. I had no prior information about it. Even being, like from the area, it just hadn't come up in my circles, I guess, and just none of my friends had talked about it. And so when I got that juror notice, I just thought it would be like, oh, maybe traffic, something boring, whatever, go in for a couple hours, do the thing. But like, oh, exciting, new opportunity. Never done anything like this. This is kind of interesting. Uh, and so I go, and it appears to be a lot more intense than I thought. There are hundreds and hundreds of people, all getting selected, and it's starting to feel pretty serious. Um,
So a lot of us who follow true crime are always like, well, how do these people know nothing about the case? But you knew nothing about it going into it. You were like, this is a
yeah,
clean slate. So then,
exactly.
so you get to the courthouse, and so what was the process of ordeal like? Like, how would they bring you in?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was a kind of a blur. I remember it being a couple days of jury selection, if I remember correctly. It wasn't one single day. It was a full day of we fill one big courtroom with people, and then we just kind of snake our way down the line of asking everyone questions up in the seats and everything. And I guess just where I happened to be in the line of people, and I kept getting selected in smaller and smaller groups, and eventually I found myself on. It's not the stand, but it's just where the jury is, and they're looking at everyone, and they're like, okay, all of these people will go back and talk with the judge and the defense and the prosecution and everyone, and ask you some further questions and make sure you don't know anything and yeah, you're not familiar. And they were particularly interested in what our views on the death penalty were. And again, being so young, I didn't have a particular view in either direction. I hadn't. I was just very ignorant to a lot of things at the time, and so I think because of my reluctance to say I was neither for or against, they that was clung onto and remembered by those. And yeah.
And at any point were you like, hey guys, this is like my first semester in college. Like I don't think I could do this. Did you make any like say to them at all or?
Yes, many times. When we were selected alone to be with the judge and the defense and prosecution, uh, at this big table, and I'm at the end, and the judge is across from me, and I'm like, I am. I just started college. If I remember correctly, I told them I don't think I'm a good fit for this. I'm, you know, I'm very new to everything, pretty much is what I've already said to you. And they took that as, okay, so you can figure it out. And I was told to I think it was by noon that day, to come back with, uh, like, like not proof, but like I had to call the dean of the school of my college and all my teachers and my boss from work and all these people to get the okay, even though legally it would be fine to do it because it's jury duty. But I didn't know that, so I'm like, and the judge is like, "Yep, get in contact with these people, and we'll see you 8 a.m. tomorrow. You have to come back." And I'm like, "Okay."
That's crazy. I think sometimes we take it for granted when we're watching these trials, particularly ones that last a couple weeks or months. It's like
Yes.
that's your life is on hold, right? Like, so
Yes.
like, what did the school work out with you? Like, you could do the classes, or did you still have to like do the classes?
Yeah, I had to stop everything. I couldn't, everything was placed on hold. All my teachers were like, "Oh yeah, this sounds," of course I couldn't say what it was. I was completely, but I think after a certain point, maybe people had kind of an idea, because I was, mysteriously gone and I was like, "Oh yeah, I got jury duty," and then disappeared. Um, but yeah, once yeah, my teachers were very flexible with me, and I'm very lucky that my community college was very kind and gave me a lot of grace, and so did my job. Shout out Red Elephant. They were great. And, I really appreciate them for that, especially just, yeah, being so young.
Yeah, I was
Sorry, I
saying,
get so nervous.
no, don't be nervous. That's okay. I was saying before this when we were talking, like, I can't imagine. I almost flunked out real close to flunking out of freshman year, and I didn't have a freaking death penalty murder trial to handle. And it's not only like the time, but like just dealing with like as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, like this man who got shot in the head. Like this is an intense. This is your first jury experience, like a murder trial. Like I just can't even imagine what that
Yeah.
must have been like emotionally. Did it take a toll on you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had told, I think I mentioned earlier, I had taken a video of myself, I don't know, to kind of document just for myself, like what I was going through in that moment. It was just me in my car with my little juror sticker, and I'm just sobbing, and I'm just like, is this who you want to decide who lives or dies? Like, it was just, yeah. And so yeah, it was very emotional, and it was, uh I think, I don't know, maybe I want to make sure that your audience knows that I want to make clear that I didn't make a verdict here. I
Right.
did get,
I
yeah,
was gonna get into that, but we can get into it now. So
yeah. I feel
you,
weird saying that, like,
no,
it
yeah, no,
was,
no,
I
it's
don't know, I
okay.
just want to make sure that's clear.
We can. I was gonna wait, but we can get into it now. So you were on for a few weeks, but then you weren't feeling. Tell the story. You told me.
Yeah, yeah. So I had gotten sick a couple weeks into it, and I had thrown up and fallen asleep on the bench, expecting to be woken up to go back out to court, and we're all lining up to go back out. And they didn't wake me up. They were very kind, and they let me sleep, and they went back out, and they just selected me as an alternate at that point. And the deputy woke me up and was like, "It's okay. You're done. You don't need to do this
But
anymore."
you got like
Yeah.
you got a lot of experience. Like you saw Wendy, you saw
Yeah.
Luis Rivera Tato, you saw Jeff
Yeah.
Lacasse. So you saw a
Yes.
lot of it. You just didn't get to the end. And I asked you this
Exactly.
beforehand, but tell the folks like how was that? Was that relief? Was it disappointment? I didn't get to the end. What was your thought when that happened? And you're like, yeah,
Yeah. Initially, I was really disappointed in myself. I felt like I owed, like, my time as like it's my civic duty. I want to do a good job, and I want to put the effort in and not feel like I'm not. But and like I let people down, even though that's not really realistic. I felt very disappointed in myself. And but later on, with hindsight and getting older, feeling very, very, very relieved that I was not a part of the verdict, and that um, I wouldn't have had to hold any of that on my head, because that's heavy.
right. So let's get into this. What were your first impressions of the judge? What'd you think of the judge, Judge Hankinson? What'd you think of him?
Um, at first, I was very intimidated,
Yeah, he was no
because
nonsense. He was no joke to the attorneys. He
yeah,
did not take any shit.
exactly, yeah, no, it was I mean, like I said earlier, it was okay, so go figure it out. Like, that's almost verbatim of his words, and it was like, okay, I did not feel like I could there was not an option to say no in this situation. And so yeah, and that demeanor definitely kind of held through. But I think also, if I remember correctly, I felt pretty like we were checked in on and that things were, which was nice. I do remember it feeling very slow. I I, I wish I could put it on 2 times speed if that.
Yes, trust me, I've had trials where I have to put it on 2 times speed, and witnesses where it's like, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
let me. What were your impressions of? Was it Georgia who did the voir dire? Georgia Kappelman? Do you remember the blonde
Yes,
woman?
yes, Georgia Kappelman. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What'd you think of her?
Uh, very confident. If she was very, she seemed very solid. If that makes, if that
Oh
is
yeah,
can like,
yeah. We all know
yeah,
Georgia. Most of the people in here know Georgia, and
yeah,
she's a badass.
yeah. She was very. I don't know. I felt like she. It's so hard to reflect on. It was so long ago, and I was so scared. Um, but yeah, she was intense. What was the name of the defense? Did it start with a Z?
Sam Zengana.
Yes. He, I remember being less pleased with his
Tell me, what did you think of? Yeah, because watching him, it's less pleasing.
I
What were
felt
your thoughts?
I felt it just I don't know, I felt like he was not as his arguments weren't very helpful and distracting at times and wordy and couldn't figure out where it was getting to it wasn't getting to the point, which is kind of how I sound right now. Um
No, you don't.
but
Because trust me, literally, I was just doing a rewatch, and he's doing the redirect of Luis Rivera, and we're all like,
uh-huh.
"What? This guy just keeps saying the same things, and they don't make any sense." To the
Yes.
point where Hankinson is like, "Dude, no, you can't ask that question." Like, he had to
Right.
bring him
I
in line.
remember him being like, get to the point. Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Hmm.
exactly. And
Hmm.
what about? Did you remember Tara? The woman. There was Tara and Krista Koss. Do you remember? They were for Katie Magbanua. Do you remember them? Anything stand out about them?
Not in particular. A lot of I remember mostly witness testimony from one that sticks out was there was a homeless gentleman that spoke and he was a witness to I believe it was Rivera and Sigfredo.
Shadrick? No, Nobles?
Yeah,
The guy that
yes,
got
and
the yeah.
he was he like winked at one of the jury members and I remember that sticking out to me. I was like,
that
okay,
that sounds like Shadrick. He's the guy that kind of got them the drugs, got them the hotel room, helped them with the
yes,
car. Is that your thing? Is that
yes,
the
that's
most
what it was.
memorable
Yes.
witness to you, or
Not the most, but that moment in particular, it was like a
he
oh,
winked?
there's not a screen in between me and these people. These are real people that can see me and see and it I don't know, it brings a whole other level to it. But I mean, of course, I think the one that sticks out the most is Wendy.
All right, so let's get into it because that's I think what
Yeah.
most. So what sticks out the most to you about Wendy when she got up there?
I remember she got up there and I felt I didn't believe a thing she said.
Oh
uh, I really I don't know. Maybe I don't know. The repercussions of what I'm saying, I don't know. But
no,
she,
there are. You could trust me. If anyone said anything about Wendy, it's me. You're good. Just be honest. We're just asking for
I,
your honest opinion here. Other jurors have
it,
come out, so don't even worry. We'll tell you your
it,
honest opinion.
it was very clear that she was not being honest. I don't know how. There was a very clear. It felt like there was a. I mean, this was before hearing all of it. It was just so clear that there were parts missing. That we are not seeing a lot of other players in this, and that I remember when she came up, I felt like we were trying the wrong people in that moment.
Yes. Yeah. That.
And that felt really bad. And of course, I don't know, there's a whole lot of factors in that. There's culture, there's race, and there's actual action, and then there's culpability, and then there's all this. There's so much involved in who these people are and why they made the choices that they made, and if they would have ever been in that situation to begin with, if maybe some family members didn't contact them. It's
But
interesting.
who gained the most, right? What were you
Right.
thinking at that moment when she's up there? And also, to me, and I'm so thankful to hear you say it. it's clear to. I mean, I've watched so many of the trials. It's but like you were someone who came in there with no background in the case, and she's up there, and you're like, she is not telling the truth about a
Right.
lot of these things. Did Let me ask you
Hmm.
this: did one thing stand out to you? I know there were four questions the jurors, or five questions that the jurors had afterwards. By the way, that was one of my questions. Did you while you were there? Did you have any questions? Did you ask any
I do
questions?
not I do not remember writing any questions. No, I
Okay.
remember being very worried about asking something that was not like relevant or
Right, you were
uh
young. I would have.
I-
That's like almost asking a question like in class. Like I wouldn't have asked
yeah, I'm
anything.
like I'm gonna let the adults handle it.
But the questions, one of the things I think that upset the jurors. Let me ask you: when the fact that she wouldn't let the Markel see the grandkids, Does you remember that? That was
Yes, yes. It was a lot of feeling like they were used as pawns. I remember feeling when that was brought up, and yeah, that was that was particularly strange.
what about? I know another issue I think that you guys had was that the jury had was that she had immunity, but she could be charged because that was one of the questions. Like I think specifically it was, can she be arrested for this or what? Do you remember that? Like
I don't remember that specific question, but I do remember being confused about the amount of protection she had at the time and the fact that family members could ignore being it felt like they were ignoring being subpoenaed. I don't know if Donna was subpoenaed at that time or what, but I remember being very being very confused as to what made her different than the people that were on trial right now.
right. That's I that must be like the real thing that probably hit you. It's like we're at a trial for Catherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia, and then they're just coming at you with Don Adelson, Charlie Adelson, Wendy Adelson, Harvey Adelson, and all these text messages. There was a lot of stuff to follow in that trial, and like you
Yeah.
said, you're like, so your thought was like, are they trying the right people here? What's going on?
Yeah, that if I remember correctly, that feeling came on pretty quick as we started talking about. Once we got through the the bus camera footage of the route they took and all the drugs they did when they came up and all that. And once we got through all everything else and finally started digging into why it happened, yeah, it really felt like we're not seeing the right people be asked the right questions.
Did like was there any effect on you on like how shitty the like going through like they went through a lot of the divorce documents and emails from like Donna and Wendy and they're calling him fucker. They're calling him all these shitty names. You remember that? Did that have
Yeah.
anything like impact on you? Like
Yeah, I think I remember feeling like uh I don't know, Donna was like kind of an instigator. I don't know how to like there was like a feeling of I don't know how to put this, but it
trust your
felt
instincts because trust me, you are nailing this and the chat is agreeing. Trust if you're thinking something, everyone in the chat is first of all said they're saying that they love you. This is a great guest.
oh, oh,
But
thank you.
they're also like, trust your instincts. If you like, don't be afraid because you're nailing it. What you said about Wendy is what a lot of us think. So like, don't
Okay,
hold back. Whatever you're thinking. Like, yeah, Donna was
thank
the
you.
instigator. You're absolutely right. Because she's
Yeah,
the one sending all these emails. Like, what are you doing?
right.
You're not doing this right. We gotta,
Right, exactly. Putting the pressure on to really make sure that something happened and movement happened and um yeah, I think it's just a lot of desperate people pushing others to do really desperate things
So let me ask you
for
this:
kids. Yeah.
what did you think? It must have been pretty intense to have Luis Rivera, Tato, come in. He's handcuffed, right? He's in his like.
Yeah,
What
it's
was that
changed.
experience in the change? What was that experience like?
Uh, I don't know, I feel kind of I feel I don't know. I try not to have like I work really hard to not have like inherent bias and like which is a crazy thing to say when someone is like a convicted felon in front of you going and and giving his testimony. But I looking back to be very honest, yeah, I was very scared. 'Cause they pushed it they made it very clear or they tried to make it very clear that this guy is with a lot of dangerous people and is a dangerous guy, and really kind of hyping that up, which I'm sure, I mean, obviously there's some validity there, but it made me more focused on the fear part than kind of what he was saying at times, I feel
Which
like.
is kind of what they were trying to do to make you be like,
Yeah.
well, maybe what? Because to me, I don't know what you think. He's one of the most honest people in all the trials. Did he? How do you remember thinking like that? Did he seem credible? To me, he's super credible. But what was your thoughts?
At the time, I don't know if I jumped to like super credible immediately. I didn't think he had any, it didn't seem like he had any reason to lie, or that he would benefit from giving testimony in this. That he's already sentenced, what, 19 years at that point to something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and this isn't good. I don't believe testifying in this would make his sentence any easier or lighter. I don't think that's how that works. But so I remember at the time feeling kind of like that, but also I'm like, they're just I remember mostly thinking it doesn't matter who shot. I don't know. They kept harping on if it was if it was
Lewis or Sigfredo?
Lewis, or yeah, or who had actually done the shooting. I don't know. It felt, again, just a lot of distractions. It felt like, and things that we weren't focusing on.
And we talked about this a little bit before we got on. What did you think about Jeff Lacasse, Wendy's, ex boyfriend, at afterwards, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I remember at the time thinking that he looked a lot like Dan Markel, and that was odd. That was definitely made an impression on me for sure.
What about this? Let me ask you this. A lot of people, and I disagree, I don't agree with this, but a lot of people will say, oh, he's a scorned ex-lover, so like he's lying because
Mm.
he wants to get back at Wendy. Did you get that impression?
No, I did not get that impression. It felt more like bewilderment at the scenario that he had found himself in. It was I did not feel like he had motive to be dishonest with what he was saying. It felt like if I don't tell everyone everything, I'm gonna go to jail for something I didn't do.
Honestly, spot on again. Like all your instincts about this, that's what it was. He could not believe. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've watched, he goes to these police interviews and like within 48 hours afterwards, he's like, he figured it out. Like she was going to,
Mm.
like, did that stick in your mind with the fact that the hitman rented the same exact rental car as him and they were leaving at like the same time that he was going to be leaving, and if he didn't end up going earlier, do you remember that? Did that, like, he would have been basically framed for it?
I remember there being some kind of setup like that. Yes, I don't remember. I didn't. I had read after we had talked about the car being similar. I didn't remember that initially, but yeah, I remember that being quite interesting. All the parallels, for sure.
Anything else about Wendy? Did anything else stand out about her other than her not, to you, being honest? Anything that, because she had a kind of few back and forth with a few of the attorneys where it's like she was very combative. Did that at all?
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely off-putting, and again felt unnecessary. If you're telling the truth, I don't think you need to be combative in that way.
True.
Um, it felt like a lot of things were kind of defensive, maybe, or I don't, just cold. And again, I don't want to, no one, you can never judge how someone is going to grieve, or how someone's going to act, or how people do weird shit. And that is, it is impossible to judge how someone grieves. And so I was really trying to not do that in the moment, but there was something in my gut that was like, this feels wrong. And uh yeah, it just felt like we just weren't hearing enough, and that we weren't going to get enough during that trial.
Did you remember that the part where she changed the kids' names like almost immediately and moved almost
Yeah.
immediately? Did that stick out at all to you?
Yes, it did. And yeah, and it was like they were immediately swept under the care of the grandparents, and that again made it feel like Donna in that instigator role of being very controlling and uh, inserting herself in these situations. I don't know. It was, yeah, that was very like, oh, well, that okay, you got what you wanted.
Right.
I see.
Did that
Yeah.
come to you? Like, was that a big like? Like I think I said it before, but like exactly to your point, they got what they wanted within I think 3 or 4 days. They're down in South Florida. They got what they wanted.
Yep.
Um.
Yep.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Let me see what else. So you didn't ask any questions. I asked you that. Other than Shadrick? Any other things that any other witnesses or parts of the trial or anything that's like stood out to you?
The discussion about Charlie, the dentist brother, a lot of that was, it felt very, I felt like I was watching, it was so hard to tell if it was being like manipulated by, or like what stories I was trying to be fed, but I really felt like the strings were coming together. It was very clear that, okay, well, Charlie knew a girl who knew a guy who has the means to get rid of this guy to, like it was very clear, and that only made my feelings stronger of we are not looking at the right people. We are putting like that doesn't mean that they don't deserve, so,
Right.
like justice doesn't need to be served because obviously an act of violence and was occurred and someone died because of that direct action, but again, there's so much more.
Right. Let me ask you this: you were younger, and like I always think about this when I'm watching trials, and even for myself, like, and you were younger. Were you? And I'm assuming on social media and that had a phone. Did you have any urge to like, well, look up the case, or like, did anything like come up where you're like, oh, I shouldn't be like this. Just came up on my feed. I got to turn this off.
At it's funny at the time. It was not anywhere. I wasn't worried about it being on my social media or anything, but I was listening to NPR a lot at the time, and the like the local radio station would like sometimes bring it up, and I'd have to go like I would turn it off immediately because I would have I was I was very afraid of doing the wrong thing. I really wanted to make sure I followed it step by step and did right by everyone involved, which I think is part of why I was so disappointed in myself when I ended up getting sick and not able to, see it through. So, yeah,
So after you were off because you got sick, did you like watch the lives at all? Did you just keep up on it? Like, what did you do after? You were just like, I don't
I
want to.
couldn't. I couldn't. I don't know. Maybe it's an overreaction, but I couldn't. It made me feel sick. It was just too much. I couldn't, and I am a person who consumes true crime content and who likes true crime podcasts and is very interested in real stories and things. And this would have been a case I think I would have been very interested in like dissecting and everything in which I was in a different role. But because of that role and just how intense it was and being 18, I just couldn't digest it anymore. And that I think part of I had a little bit of hesitation doing this interview because I haven't really talked about this at all to or
Well, I
or
really
like
appreciate you
watched any
doing it.
videos. Oh no, yeah, no, that I no, it's no big deal, but it is I don't know, I think it's kind of nice to be able to share this experience with people who are in this space also and like can understand how intense it was. I don't know, that was pretty rambling, I'm sorry, but
No, you are doing awesome. Seriously, don't apologize. Like you've been spot on with all your observations and everything. All right, so that's interesting. You did follow true crime a little bit. So, and but right after you didn't, have you had any thoughts when you start seeing like? I mean, we talked about it, but obviously, Donna, Charlie, guilty, life in prison,
yeah.
and Donna, guilty, life in prison. Like, you kind of keep up with it now at all, or what's?
A little bit more. My my mom. So of course I couldn't talk about any of this with my parents. But I was living with my parents at the time. But my mom was very interested in the case, and so eventually they connected the dots that that's what was going on. But of course we never spoke about it until afterward. Um, and uh, oh, I brought that up for a reason. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Just if
Um,
you like keep up on it, like after seeing Charlie
Yes.
and
Oh, yes. And so she's the one that informs me of when things happen. So when Charlie was put away, she was like the first one to tell me, and so I kind of get my information through her. Um, and and it was kind of, I don't know, relief is a weird word, but that's how it felt like the tide was kind of turning, and it felt like, okay, we're finally starting to see some of the right people being asked those questions and being, yeah.
So what is your, well, let me ask you first. Do you think that they should be done, or do you think that they should I mean, based on what you saw with Wendy, like,
Hmm.
do you think they should be pursuing her, or do you think that they,
Yes,
yeah, okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I do. I think you would be missing a very central part of uh why Dan Markel was killed in the first place. Uh, I don't think justice would be fully served without that. I think it all comes down to the kids. And I think being a parent is a really complicated thing, and I think it makes you make some crazy choices sometimes. And that's what it sounds like happened in this case. And I think it would be, um, yeah, I don't think justice would be served without having Wendy, all of the truth coming out, and Wendy being put in jail.
What is, well, now that you said your mom followed it, what does she agree? Like, did she, was she familiar after you like got home and you were allowed to talk about it? Is something that was on her radar? Like she knew about it already?
Yes. She had a suspicion when I got called and I was there for so long, and I was started to tell them about how I didn't know the case yet, but I was telling about how many people they were there and that were there, and once she heard about how large of a selection pool it was, she knew. I think she knew pretty quickly that's what it was, because she was following up on it.
So did she, when you were done and off, did she have all these questions like I have now? Like, was she like grilling you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean they were very respectful, for sure, because they saw, uh, like the toll it took on me, which sounds so silly because it's again, it's
It's
not
not.
about me,
It's
but man,
absolutely not silly. It is not silly.
uh,
You were
but
so young. Don't think that. You were so
um,
young. I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I would have flunked out of. I mean, I almost did anyway, but I would have definitely flunked out.
but yeah, she had a lot of they were very curious about everything, and obviously very supportive the whole time.
By the way, just out of curiosity, did you happen to see Donna's hissy fit and Harvey at the when they had her sentencing?
No, I did not.
So they
Is
both
she
get up. It was pretty wild because we haven't heard much from Harvey. And first of all, he gets up there and is
right?
like, the judge is biased. The jury wasn't paying attention. The witnesses were lying. And then she says that, and Donna says, of course, that the same thing. The judge is biased. The jury fell asleep. So it's pretty. It was pretty wild to see.
Man,
When meanwhile you in 2019 are a juror in the trial, and you're like, wait a second, why isn't she up there? Like,
yeah.
why is she not? She's the instigator. You said it yourself. She's the
Hmm.
instigator. She's sending the email. She's doing the texts. I forget.
Yep.
Did they in your trial? I think they did. But do you remember? Did they bring up that like the birthday gift, or that might have been after? But like the fact that like they were meeting for Harvey, and she texts Charlie and is like, I have an idea for his birthday gift, but erase this from your phone. I don't know if I think it came up on your trial, but I don't.
Potentially. I do feel like I remember something about messages and her being controlling about messages and that sort of thing, but I don't remember specifically that, no.
Yeah, she. I mean, to
Um,
your point, she
yeah.
was controlling about everything.
Yeah.
Um, I think that might be it. Anything else that's just about the experience that stands out to you, or you want to talk about it, whether it's the judge, the attorneys, just the experience, like
Mm.
anything at all that you want to that we didn't go over that you want to talk about.
Uh, just I don't if if I if you if you're watching this and you're you're a teen and you're coming into early adulthood and something like this comes up, mm, I just want to tell people to really stand up for yourself and stick to if you're uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable. And I I regret not being firmer with the judge and with everyone in that room and being more upfront about how it felt wildly inappropriate that I was there. And um, yeah, and just that it can just watch out for yourself and be empathetic towards other people and remember they're people.
Well, don't
Um,
beat up yourself about that, because I don't think many of us would be like, especially like Judge Hankinson. These attorneys were scared of him. Imagine you, an
yeah,
18-year-old, who's like, "Hey, buddy, no, Like don't have regrets about that. And don't, to your point,
No.
like I understand what you're saying, like, but like
Mm,
you were just out of high school. And
yeah.
Judge Hank, like you're gonna be like, listen, Judge, I know you said I should do this, but I don't
Yeah.
think so. I mean, so don't beat yourself up about that.
And just how long the jury selection was. It was so long. There were so many people. And also you say so much private information about yourself in front of a lot of people.
Do you remember
And
like what stuff do you remember, like you don't have to, like what stuff were they asking that like
oh,
you maybe you wouldn't want to say?
they were asking specifically well, I don't know about this isn't like what I wouldn't want to say, but it was like specifically death penalty stuff, how we felt about it, and if we had been, I think these are kind of more standard ones, but they were asking if we have a relative that is in law enforcement, things like that, if we know anyone in law enforcement, that kind of stuff. Do like Yeah, oh, asking if we had been a victim of a crime, and so people were detailing some pretty like,
Mm.
vulnerable stuff, and just that, you state your name, your employment, your, everything, and this is what's happened to me, and
Right, and you have to do it in front of a huge group of people,
yeah,
right? And like you have to
like
kind of be like,
400 people.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and it just lasts the whole time, and it's always so cold. It won't. Yeah. Yeah, it was an insane experience. I'm It definitely changed the way that I view true crime and courts and the whole process.
One thing I want to ask, and I saw this in the chat, it was a good question. Did you see that, in the first trial, first two trials, Katie Magbanua, Catherine Magbanua was like, nothing to do with this. This is all. Did you see that she flipped and was like, yes, I was involved? I don't know if you had saw that.
No,
I mean,
I
she's
had
still
not.
lying, but she did she because she still, you could still very clearly see she's holding back, but she did
Uh,
come out and say, yeah, Charlie paid me. So she
yeah,
did.
because I know in the trial I was a part of, they were talking about the money and that whole transaction, and I believe she was part of that whole.
Well, do you
We were
remember
so
the
focused on.
famously?
Mhm.
Do you remember that she used the money to get implants? Like that was, I don't know if you were there for that part, but that
I
was
believe I think that might have been mentioned. Yeah, like character, like uh defamation stuff. I don't know. It's just like I was like, okay, okay. Um,
also what came. She comes out and says, just so you'll probably find this funny, but she's like, she gets the money. They get the money, and it's wet. And she basically she determined that it was because idiot Donna Adelson was gonna like literally launder money. Like she washed the money, and it was like wet and mildew. So
oh,
just a little
Jesus.
update on the case.
All right, all right.
Yeah, but it's I was talking about this with someone before. It's just it's pretty wild that you were first, you were a juror in the first trial, and now there have been four trials, and there could potentially be five or six. Like, let me ask you this: do any of your, I know you said your mom filed it. After you got out and talked, did any of your friends, anyone at your college, anyone was like, "Oh my God, you were on that? I know about that." Did anyone like?
Yeah, pretty much everyone. I had a lot of my friends. I have several friends that were studying law, and so I ended up telling them, some of my coworkers, and uh, at work, and she was quite shook. And yeah, I had just started making new friends at that time. You go to college and you meet new people and stuff, and so I disappeared for a little bit and then came back and then had to explain, and yeah, people were pretty surprised that I got picked. Um,
And did they have any
yeah.
opinions on it, like as far as like what their thoughts were about the case? Because I'm curious, just from someone who lives there, like what like the scuttlebutt is, or like what people said to you after like they found out.
Yeah, there was just so much information in the case. I think a lot of people just saw it as just a really sad event that happened. It was less so of the, like, I don't know, drama is not the right word, but it's like discourse online about Wendy and things. It was in person, it's just more like, just more sad.
Yeah, of course. I said like
Yeah.
they're two kids who don't have a dad.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, and it had been so long at that point because it happened in 2014, and so these kids had grown up in this really just torn apart life, and it's gonna be like that for the rest of their lives. And I don't know, it's just really tragic. It's just tragic.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Like I said before, the chat has just been super complimentary. You did an awesome job. So, like,
Thank you so much.
really, your insights were spot on and invaluable to us for folks who have been following this. So it was awesome to talk to you. I really thank you so much for doing this. Um, guys, I like I said, when I end this, it's going to take you at 9 to Shannon's stream about Harv. And you just what I said, I'll end this and then we'll just talk real quick. So, guys, sorry I miss whenever I have someone I'm interviewing, I can't really pay attention to the chat. So I appreciate everyone so much for being here. Sorry if I missed any questions or anything, but I really appreciate any chats and everything. So thank you guys so much for being here. And check out the live at 9 Mindful Crime Couture. And thank you again, 13. You were awesome. And have a good night, everybody.
Hi everyone. Thank you.
All right. Well, you were awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I really
Of
appreciate it.
course. Yeah, no, that was very that was and